Hello, everybody. Welcome to our live paint along tonight. Well, I haven't even showed the project yet, Michael.
Well, I was welcoming them.
Calm down.
All right.
I'm just kidding. I'm so glad you guys can join us. We are going to be painting some daffodils tonight.
There we go.
I'm going to share the supplies with you guys, and then I'm going to go over a couple of announcements, and then we'll get into painting, okay?
Sounds great.
So for this project, I wanted to keep it like really loose and accessible. So basically what we're going to need is a green, a yellow, an orange, a blue. Yep.
All right.
And a pencil.
Piece of cake.
And paper and paintbrushes. The paintbrushes are around 6 in a liner. And if you want to use Daniel Smith colors, which is what I have here on my palette, then we're looking at Undersea green, New Gamboge, Phthalo blue, and quinacridone burnt orange.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So just a happier yellow than the Q gold, which is what we usually use. And if you have like dandelion paint, then that would be like a Tahoe blue, a deep yellow, a burnt orange, and forest green.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Great.
Love it.
Don't worry, there is no outline. We're gonna be drawing today. I'm gonna show you guys how to sketch these daffodils. Okay?
Okay.
So just have a pencil ready and maybe a scratch piece of paper so you can do some sketching and, kind of practice the layout, all of that kind of stuff. Wendy, hi Wendy. I know Wendy. Hello Wendy, how you doing? Linda, Sharon, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm excited to be here.
There's people from everywhere. I've been watching the chat. People are from everywhere.
People are from everywhere.
Deep Thoughts.
Deep Thoughts by Michael Cray. People are from everywhere.
All right. All right.
He's a little bit sick, so you could tell that his when you have like sick brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have it all the time.
Me too. Okay. Those are the supplies. Now,
Thanks for posting them, Hadley. Hadley posted them and wrote them out.
Oh, Hadley, bless you. For our announcements, we don't have a ton going on at the moment. For those that pre-ordered the National Parks watercolor box, we're still on track for that timeline, so we're doing good there. We feel really excited and good about that. If you guys want to see what we have in store for our April projects, then you can go ahead and stick around to the end of the tutorial where I will show them. And if you guys are interested in painting March, which is Moody March, we have those gorgeous rocks and then the cityscape and the atmospheric florals. You have until the end of the month to purchase those as bundle. After that, they get put into the vault until we release them for the archive, to which they will be available individually, but at a higher price point. So usually if you like more than one project in the box, it's worth it to buy it in the bundle.
That's true.
Okay.
Also, I have an announcement for our creative community.
Great.
It's impossible to spell archive without it looking like art, chive, and onion.
I know.
Someone use your brain power and let's figure out how to make archive come across via text and still be funny.
Because when you say it, it makes sense. But any way that you type it out, you're like baked potato. You know what I mean? Like you can't, or it's like, then you spell chive with like a K, which I think then loses the word.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's
yeah.
too much. It's too much. It's a struggle. We really have struggled with it. Okay. Oh, Mary. Hi, Mary. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Oh, Ashley says they're in still snow-covered northern Michigan. Oh, Barbara. Hi. Hi, Barb. Snowed in Maine yesterday. Oof. It's kind of been warming up here in Missouri, so we're good.
I mean, for now, Missouri weather is all over the place.
That is so true. It was like 80 degrees one day, and then a day and a half later, it snowed. And I am not exaggerating.
Blizzard warning.
It was a blizzard warning.
Yeah.
It like dropped like 60 degrees in less than 2 days. Okay, let's get into this.
Let's paint.
Let's paint, you guys. Let's stop the chit chat. Let's get serious here. Okay, so what we're doing today is we are painting a postcard for our Let's Make Art Matter recipient for March. If you guys don't know, Let's Make Art Matter is basically where we come together as a community and paint postcards for someone or an organization that maybe needs a little bit of a cheering up. This month, I will say, when I was reading through the submissions for the Let's Make Art Matter, when I read through this one, I literally started to cry. It's it really got to me, and at first I thought like, no, we shouldn't do this one, and then I thought it's um, it's important for us not to look away when people are experiencing hard things. And so, even though like I want to be happy and bright and super excited about all of things when we're painting all the time for you guys, the reality is sometimes when we're painting things from our heart, we're really dipping into that kind of more soft and serious part of ourselves. And it's super vulnerable, but I think it's really important and a way for us to connect with each other. So the recipient this month is Emma. She was driving with her family to church one Sunday, and they were unfortunately involved in a very serious car accident, and Emma was the lone survivor. We just received word from whoever nominated her that she is actually now out of the hospital. So she is making an amazing recovery. And we just wanted to paint some postcards to send to her to let her know that we're thinking about her. And I chose daffodils because daffodils are the flower of hope. So I thought we just wanted to send her a little bit of an art hug that way. And I just want to say, like, when it comes to painting postcards, for someone who's really struggling, I will say, I don't think that they're going to solve everything. I don't think that a painted postcard can take away pain. And I hope you don't think that that's what I'm trying to do here. But what I'm trying to do is just let someone know that we're willing to sit with them in this moment, whatever that is for them. And so, sorry, I might start crying here, but
we all choked up over here.
But it's important. It's important for us to recognize each other's experiences, even when they're hard. And so when I was reading through and my initial reaction was like, no, we shouldn't do this one, I just thought, this is where it's important for us to show up for each other. When our initial reaction is to turn away, this is where we have to turn towards it. And so, anyways, I hope that you can join tonight in painting with us. If you didn't buy the March project, so you don't have our address, that's okay. If you email us, we will give you the mailing address so you can still participate. So just email us at hello@letsmakeart.com and we will send you the address. So let's paint some daffodils for Emma and just let her know that we're thinking about her. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. So when it comes to daffodils, they're actually a super interesting flower because there's two elements to them. And so sometimes when you paint them in profile, they're really easy to see what's going on. But when they're coming at you, you have a lot of foreshortening, which is when long things actually look short because they're facing you instead of a profile. It's like your hand. This is your hand laying flat. This is your hand coming at you. So do you see how, like, my hand is 6 inches actually, and I use that all the time, but you see how something that's 6 inches all of the sudden turns into something that's like what, an inch or 2 inches?
Right.
So basically when we paint daffodils, we want to keep that in mind. And so I have a little book here that I use sometimes for references of flowers. It's called Flower Color Guide. It's sometimes nice if I'm like, oh, what's the structure or color of these flowers? So I pulled this up and I was looking at them. So daffodils have two parts. They essentially have I'm going to put this here. If I were to paint this with it facing up, there's going to be a circle, which is where the main 5 petals come out, and then a center where a kind of tube comes out. Okay, so basically this is the basic drawing structure of our daffodil. So when we go to draw a daffodil coming at us, the middle, I like to start with the center, which is actually kind of a wavy line because these are petals. So it's a wave like this. And then from here, I'm going to be drawing 6 petals that come out from my center and end at this outer ring. So we're going to pretend that the middle of that is where the petals come out of. So there's that, 1, and then we just repeat that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is a daffodil looking flat at us. And just for visuals, I brought 2 things that can help us. Okay, so imagine that the bottom petals is this round plate, and then this here is the center tube thing coming out. Okay, so when it's flat, that's kind of what we're looking at, right? And then when you paint something turned away from you, notice what the shape does as you do this. Instead of a flat circle, we now kind of more have an oval. And notice how this tube-like is coming up so high that we actually don't see the back part. You see how that's kind of covering that back edge?
Yes. Sorry, I'm talking to people in the chat.
You're answering comments?
Yes.
Okay.
But yes, I see.
So then when we do this one, we need to think about, okay, the bottom petals, we're not going to see the back edge of it. This, we see that kind of big center, but we also see the side of it a little bit. You see how we see that kind of side of the tube? So then when we go to paint a daffodil that's slightly turned away from us, I'm going to keep that visual in mind. My flat circle now all of a sudden kind of turns to more of an oval like this. And then the tube this way. Okay, so I want to make sure it goes taller than my back petals. So there's the opening and there's its side. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And then from here, we put out our petals, still following that circle shape. Of course, it's actually going to be a little bit wavy. There you go. So there's that. So we're going to have one flower facing us. We're going to have one flower slightly turned away from us. And then we're going to have another flower that's kind of more profile. Now, these are a little bit easier to wrap our minds around, at least when it comes to this tube part, because the tube part is going to be on its side. What gets tricky is this kind of circle down here, because see how thin it gets? Mm-hmm. And our brain, it's difficult for our brain to wrap our head around that. So remember, don't think with your brain. Just ignore your brain. So we're going to do one profile. So the profile tube we have here, frilly top, so pretty. And then the circle actually goes pretty thin like this. So it just gets much thinner, like a much more narrow oval. And then from there, we have our petals. Okay?
Lovely.
And then our stems. So those are our basic 3 shapes. And I have to tell you guys, I have to admit that this painting gave me a run for my money, and that's why I decided to include a drawing lesson, because at first I wasn't drawing them, and the amount of wonky daffodils that I painted, it was just like crazy, and I was just like, all right, this is getting ridiculous. So then I really took the time to sketch out the different angles of them and the placement, and I realized that in order for us to all feel successful, I need to walk through what that looks like, and we can sketch our painting before we paint it. Okay, so those are the different angles. Now, if you're sketching this yourself and you're just like, you know what, I can nail this, but I'm really struggling with this, you don't have to put this in here. As an artist, you can decide, you know what, I don't really like this profile daffodil. I do so much better with the one that's slightly turned or the one that's straight on. So I'm just going to make sure my daffodils stay straight on. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't be afraid to adjust to your own strengths in order to feel good about the painting that you're about to do. Okay? Now, when it comes to the stems and the leaves, it's pretty basic. Stems are just long, skinny, and their leaves are actually like long and pretty narrow. They thicken a bit, but it's kind of more like this shape.
Sword.
Yeah. So it's nothing too crazy in terms of detail for your leaves. Okay. That feels good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this close by, and I'm going to go to my postcard. Now, if you guys don't have like watercolor cards or postcards, this is just a 9x12 sheet that I cut into 4x6. Okay, so that works totally fine too. So with this here, let's go through our steps, and then we'll do our oath, and then we'll draw on our paper and do our painting. Okay?
Can't wait.
Okay, so for the steps, it's just 5 steps. So step 1, we're going to sketch. We're going to take what we just learned and sketch that on our paper. For step 2, we're going to paint the centers of our flowers first. For step 3, we will then do the petals. Step 4, we're going to do the stems and the leaves. And step 5 are some splatters or any details. Now, Michael, it might be a good idea for you to look up the different parts of a daffodil because this isn't actually like this is I'm calling this the center of the flower, but like that's a petal, you know?
Let's look.
Let's look. Can you look that up? Thank you.
I can't spell daffodil, so that's fine. There we go.
Okay. Do you need me to spell it for you?
I got it.
Okay.
I have Google spell check. We're fine.
Okay, so when it comes to my postcard, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to think about the basic shapes. So my first one, remember, is more like that donut hole. Now I don't want to do my middle donut hole so much to the edge of the paper that I won't have room for petals. So I want to bring it in a good inch, inch and a half at least, okay? So I'm going to do, that's the center, and that's going to be the outer edge of my petal. And then this one over here, I'm going to go to the right and I'm going to go up a little bit because I usually never want to have 2 things right next to each other. Okay, that makes it really tricky compositionally. So I'm going to go up a little bit or down a little bit. But for me, I'm going to go up and I'm going to take this circle and I'm going to turn it on its side. And then the center, there's the center top and then that little edge right there. Okay. Kind of looks like a pacifier, doesn't it?
It does. I'm now a daffodil anatomy expert. Ask away.
Okay, what is this part called?
That is called a corona, Sarah.
The corona?
Mm-hmm. And the flowery petals are called tepals.
Tepals.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So here's our corona.
Mm-hmm.
We'll later put in our tepals. Mm-hmm. Let's put the corona in up here. Again, I'm going to go above and to the left, kind of in between these two. If I do one right here, that's going to create a really strong implied line for my composition that goes straight up and down. So I want to kind of put it in between. So it makes my eye go, oh, oh, oh. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to put in the side view of the corona. What a name. And then I'm going to do my plate. And this one is going to be a thin oval like that.
I think corona is Latin for crown.
Oh,
Corona.
That makes so much more sense. I was just thinking of a beer.
Listen, that could be it. Yeah, someone who liked daffodils just really drank a lot of corona.
Yeah, they're like this.
There's the lime.
There we go. Okay, so now that I have my basic shapes, now I can start doing the details. So when it comes to the crown or corona of this, I'm just going to start saying crown because that feels right. I'm going to do a wavy, kind of wavy line, and then the edge of the petals. And there's 6 of them. And if they're not evenly spaced, like if one has more of a space than the other, that's okay. Flowers grow like that all the time, okay? One kind of sometimes just grows a little wonky. And we still love it, and there's nothing wrong with it, okay? So there's my daffodil. I'm going to do the same thing over here, wavy top, just a hint of the side, and then my petals.
I got one more great anatomy that I've never seen on other, I'm sure it exists on other flowers. The papery part that connects the stem to it. Do you know what I'm talking about? I actually don't see them in yours.
I do know what you're talking about.
It's called a spathe.
Oh.
S-P-A-T-H-E.
Spathe.
Spathe.
That's a good word.
I just had to get it out there.
Love it. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. Now this is just kind of a profile, so you might see the other edge of the lip here. And then here, petal. Now, the petals that are coming out at us, you might be like, how do I understand. Basically what you do is you're just going to do a curve point, like a short petal. Because remember, even though in our brains we know they're long, it's coming out towards us. So we don't really see that full length. So we're just kind of seeing the tip really or something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once you feel good about that, which I do, I will say that maybe you want to think about the side petals in relation to that center. The center might be a little bit big for the side petals, so you can either kind of adjust that, or when you go to paint, you can adjust one or the other. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's do our stems. So just kind of coming out wherever from that center. And then the leaves. So I'm going to do one come in here. Let's do another one here and here.
We have a viewer named Olga Gonzalez Ordonez from Mexico, and she says Corona is crown in Spanish. And I just think I would love to be in Mexico right now on the beach.
That does sound fantastic.
Yes. And we haven't done the oath yet, everyone. It's coming.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Let's do our oath right now.
You're getting through steps.
And then I just jumped into it.
Oh, okay, let's do it.
Struggling. Okay, raise your right hand.
Wait, let me.
And repeat after me. I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise not to compare my work.
Promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
Promise to have fun.
Thank you. Oh, thank you guys for reminding me for doing the oath. I was just so excited to draw. I jumped right in. Okay. Now that I have my drawing here for my painting, we can get to painting. Now, I will say, if you want to leave your pencil marks, there's nothing wrong with that. This one, I left my pencil marks. If they bother you, then you can just do a light erase across your whole paper. So then you can kind of still see what's going on, but not so much that it distracts. Because
giving me grief. She said I have one job to remind you about the oath.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
You're sick.
It was a long day.
It has been a long day. Okay. We ready to paint?
I think so. Look at the screen. Do you want this view or this view?
This view.
Okay.
Close-up view for sure.
For sure.
For sure. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my round 6, and I'm going to take some new Gamboge, and I'm going to paint the centers or the crowns of the flowers. So I'm going to start by just doing the little roughly rim. Okay. Roughly rim. And then this one is like the full-on side of it, right? Okay. Then I'm going to rinse my brush, hit it off the side of my cup to get rid of any excess water, because we don't want water dripping from our paintbrush because it lands on our paper, like literally what just happened to me. And with this damp brush, I'm just going to kind of fill out the center. Like so.
Fill the corona.
Fill the corona. And then when it's wet, I'm going to mix a little bit of burnt orange in with my yellow, and I'm just going to drop that kind of darker value right in the center. And I'm just trying to show that there is like a center to this flower. Okay. Like that. And then for this guy, we're going to use that dark orange to show like the side of it, like that. And then maybe a little dot right in the center. And I know it looks rough right now. Trust the process. It's going to be okay.
Those dark parts you're putting in the center are the same in other flowers too. That's like the anthers and the stamen, like all the other plant parts we've talked about.
Yes.
Tying it all together here.
Okay. Now what we're going to do is I'm basically just going to use water and pull from the paint that I already put down to form my petals. So using just a damp brush, I'm going to pull color for my petals. Now here's the beautiful thing. Daffodils come in different variations. There are some where the petals are white and the center is like a strong orange. There are some where they're all yellow. So depending on how moist your center is will determine if you have white daffodils or yellow daffodils, okay? If you specifically want them to be a certain color, like let's say you want them to be yellow and for sure want them to be yellow, you can grab some yellow paint and paint them like so. Okay, so then there's no doubt about it. Those are yellow petals. If you want them to be white, let me show you what to do. So I'm just going to continue on with this one being just a yellow. daffodil there. If you want them to be white, then I would take your brush and just grab like either a tiny bit of gray or green and a lot of water. So it's basically just like mostly water with a hint of like a gray or a blue or a green. And then that's where you paint your petals. So you see how this is now reading as more of a white compared to this, which is reading as a yellow petal. So in our minds, sometimes we think like, it's white paper. How do I paint a white petal on white paper? But there's still some value or some color on that petal. And I don't, even with the white petal, I don't get mad when a little bit of yellow bleeds into it.
Sarah, we have a question about the brand of brush you're using.
Yes.
What is that brush you're using?
This is a Da Vinci brand round 6. It's super similar to like the LMA round 6 or the Princeton Heritage round 6. It's just a strong snap, very similar shape.
Okay. You ready for an unhinged moment with Michael Cray?
Yeah.
Every time I see a daffodil, I think, you look kind of tasty.
Oh.
They seem like they got a good crunch about them.
Okay, this is why. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Because I do too, and I think it's because of Willy Wonka.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Right?
I think you're probably right. Okay, so it's not that unhinged.
Yeah, it's not that crazy. Okay. So now we basically used wet on wet to pull colors for our petals. Now, because we pulled so much color, it's possible that our center lost a little bit of saturation or a little bit of depth. So as long as our petals are mostly dry, I'm going to go through with a little bit stronger color, which is burnt orange and new Gamboge mixture, and just kind of make sure that there is a little bit of a separation between that center and the petals, okay? Now you'll notice that because we're doing wet on wet technique, you're like, wow, this is kind of messy. It's bleeding everywhere. I don't know if I like this. Trust the process, okay?
Okay.
Because I have found that with these paintings, they actually look really beautiful when they're kind of gestural and loose. So don't try and make it too precise. Don't try and make it too perfect. Don't be afraid to just like swatch in some color. You know what I mean? Like really go for it.
Lisa Dibble says, they're poisonous. Please don't eat them.
Lisa, hi, I know who that is too. Hi, Lisa. And she's a florist, so she would know.
Oh, hi, Lisa.
I had no idea that daffodils were poisonous.
We would have found out because I eye them as I walk by. I'm going to put you on a salad.
Okay, now if you want your white to feel a little bit more colorful too, which I know sounds funny, but you guys know what I mean. I'm going to take a tiny bit of blue, and you can touch a little bit of blue onto that petal, and I feel like it kind of like activates the white petal and just brings a little bit more dimension to it, okay? I'm actually going to do that even with these yellow ones. Now I just have to say that, is it a little bit driving me crazy, this space between here? Yes, it is. But I am showing you that it's okay to let things go. Let it go. It's fine.
I'm sure flowers look just like that all the time.
Yeah. Like we could go out and find a daffodil that looks just like that. Okay. Now we're going to move on to step 4, you guys. We're like just about done with this painting already. Because when it comes to doing the stems and the leaves, super basic and simple. I'm going to use my liner brush to create the stems. If you don't have a liner brush and you struggle with long, thin lines, then I would suggest getting one. They're super fantastic. The reason why they're so great is because the bristles are even in length and long, so then it's easy just to continue that line, and you don't really have to worry about pressure as much, where around you have to be super careful with your pressure. Also, I don't get mad if my green stem touches a petal and the petal is a little bit wet and I get a little bit of bleeding. I actually like that. So I'm not mad about that if that happens. Now, for the leaves themselves, you can do a mixture of green with a hint of yellow for a little bit of warmth. You can do a mixture of green with a hint of blue for a little bit of coolness. Sometimes I like to paint it and then go back and then like drop in another color, because why not?
I'm gonna zoom out and get your palette. Oh, but you gotta rotate. Yeah, there.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a strong swoosh of yellow right there. I'm going to do a leaf kind of coming up on this side and coming out behind here. The other thing I want to call attention to is a lot of the times with flowers, especially if it's like a bunch of flowers, we think that everything has to match up. But remember, this is an illustration. This is a loose illustration and a loose painting. So like I wanted to put a stem here to kind of activate this space. But if I were to try and fit it in between here, it will actually having floating stems. I have floating paintings. So I think it's more important to look at like the overall composition than to try and make sure that your painting makes dimensional sense or realistic sense. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
You can even do like long, thinner ones if you need to activate space, but you don't have room to do like a full leaf. You can just do lines like this. So it just kind of like brings it alive, makes them seem like there's more going on. And we're on our very last step. We're just going to do some splatters and some detail lines. Now this is really what makes the watercolor painting pop in general. So don't skip this step, but please clear things around. You can see that I had this book open when I splattered it initially because I have paint splatters all over. And I'm just going to take some yellow, splatter along there. And then the very last thing I want to do is maybe do some detail lines and kind of shape my flower a little bit more. So for my petals here, I'm going to take some yellow and I'm just going to do a few little detail lines kind of coming out from the center towards the edge. It's usually just like boop, 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 boop. And this just brings a little bit of life to it. Nothing too crazy in terms of detail, but just enough to kind of like give it a little bit more visual interest. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to go with my burnt orange and I'm just going to kind of darken the edge a little bit. Again, kind of pushing those colors, pushing those values to make it pop. And I love to paint and smear. Smearing something just really, like, look at that.
So good.
Look at how like vibrant that looks now. And sometimes you only get that looseness and that kind of beautiful, crazy watercolor texture if you're willing to be a little bit messy and a little bit carefree.
Sarah, can you tell differences, you personally, between like brush hair composition, like if it's synthetic or whatever, or do they function very differently to you?
Not to me, but I really don't recall ever using a natural, like a squirrel hair brush, which is pretty standard for the higher end watercolor brushes. I don't know if I've even ever used one. Um, or if I have, it's more of a blend. I feel like the majority of the brushes I use are synthetic.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, honestly.
They were just wondering in the comment.
I think some more probably skilled watercolorists or experienced would know, because I definitely feel like synthetic bristles um, are kind of newer and more mainstream lately. And, I've only been watercoloring like 12 years. So,
Right.
okay,
Only
so
12. That's it, only 12 years.
I don't know. So I did some detail lines and now I'm going to take that burnt orange and I'm just going to kind of shape my center here, do that kind of darker orange on the edge and maybe a little bit on my petal. And then I'm going to smear some of that down there. Again, not really being afraid of the mess, embracing the looseness of this. And then let's do the same thing over here, kind of dark orange along that top to kind of show that there's an opening there. And remember, it doesn't, it's going to be a little bit of a wavy line. It's okay if it gets funky. Stephanie, oh my goodness. So many of my friends are here.
I have
Okay.
friends. You don't know them. They all live in Canada. They're
Yeah.
all Canadian. You know that old thing back then? I don't know, high school, and you're like, I have a boyfriend. I have a girlfriend there in Canada.
No, I never had to lie about that.
Oh, well,
Just kidding.
you were cool.
Are you kidding? I like pined for you our entire high school career. Mine was Placerville. Yeah, I have a boyfriend. He's in Placerville. And you're like, Sarah, stop calling me. Just kidding.
Who are you?
He's only said that once. Okay. Okay, that's it. I did a few little details here. I will say that maybe the top edge of this daffodil got a little too wide for my flower. So I'm just going to go and smear some of it off. Now, here's the thing with watercolor. You can't totally erase. You can't totally make it go away. But sometimes just lightening something either with a clean, damp brush and lifting, or just taking a paper towel and dabbing it, even though a hint of yellow is still there, the overall shape has shrunk. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to lift or lighten if you need to for your painting. Watercolorists do it all of the time. It's very much a tool that we can use to help our paintings. Yeah, that's our
What did you
daffodil.
outline that white daffodil in?
This one?
Yeah, like what was
Oh, I used a tiny bit, basically on my palette, whenever I'm doing neutrals, I always have a muddy mixture on my palette. And so I'll just touch a little bit of color to like right here, where there's like a little bit of gray, maybe a little bit of brown. I'm sure you can get this color by taking some burnt orange and water and maybe a tiny bit of like blue, maybe a tiny bit of black.
excellent?
But just any sort of neutral just gives it a little hint. Okay.
Excellent.
I will say that I'm a sucker for the white petal and orange center daffodils. I love those.
Because you love fried eggs.
I do love fried eggs. Oh my gosh. And I love the poppy fried eggs because they're white, super petally fluffy,
Mm-hmm.
big yellow centers.
Flowers that look like eggs. Sarah's weakness.
Exactly. Okay. So that's it. That's our painting. So I hope that you guys can see that by breaking down a flower into its basic shapes and then going from there, it makes flowers way more approachable. And I know that like taking vases and plates is like kind of unhinged. However, it's super helpful if you need to understand the three-dimensionality of an object, of a form. You know what I mean? Because sometimes in our minds we can only see it flat, or we can't see it unless we have a photo reference. So you can look at your photo reference and you can say, oh, daffodils have two elements. They have the crown and they have the petals. And what happens if it's facing me, if it's from its side, if it's turning away from me? And in all of those different variations, it's going to give you that basic shape, which will make it so much easier to transfer to your paper and draw. Okay?
Okay.
And remember, you don't have to think of drawing as, I'm going to do this full three-dimensional drawing. You are making marks on your page using basic shapes. That's it. You guys can do that. Absolutely. Okay, just as a reminder, this postcard we are sending to Emma, our recipient, asked for the address, made sure it was okay, so we're all good there. You can email us at hello@letsmakeart.com if you would like their mailing address. I hope that we can send her just some flowers, just an art hug, just to say that we're thinking about her. If there is someone that you know that maybe could benefit from an art hug, you can go to our website, letsmakeart.com. I think it's under resources. There's the nomination form there. You guys can fill that out, and we choose a different recipient every single month. Okay? So thank you guys so much for joining me on this. I hope that you take the time to do it. And I just want to remind you, these postcards are not about perfection. It's not about removing anything, and it's not about writing a note that's going to change their life. It's more just about being with them or acknowledging them in this moment. That's all it is. And as someone who has experienced grief and has received postcards, just knowing that someone took the time to make something for me or was thinking about me was really, really helpful. And actually, a few months ago, one of our LMA Matter recipients was Michael's mom. She was going through chemo for breast cancer. She still is. But she said that the postcards that she received in the mail, like, it was one of the kindest things she's ever experienced in her life. And she just, she talks about it still. And she has a photo full of, a table full of postcards. And she said that really meant a lot to her. So again, I don't want you to get caught up on trying to paint something perfect. It really is just letting them know that you're thinking about them. And that's all we can do sometimes, So thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Now, what we are going to do is I am going to share with you what we are painting next month for April. Okay?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. So, let me make sure I have them in the right order. Okay. So, when I was thinking about April, I was thinking about, fresh spring. And spring reminds me of
Your beautiful husband's birthday.
my beautiful husband's birthday.
Thank you.
And Easter. And Easter reminds me of cute little bunnies. And cute little bunnies remind me of Peter Rabbit. And Peter Rabbit was written and illustrated by Beatrix Potter, who is a fantastic illustrator, just the most gorgeous stuff. And so I thought that for our project for April, our first one should be, drumroll please, a cute little mouse.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
Can you even deal how cute this is? I just had so much fun painting it. We paint animals, but we don't really do this kind of loose illustrative watercolor style. I really wanted to do something that utilizes a lot of different techniques and really emphasizes watercolor, which is why we have the splatter, why we have the loose washes, and how we kind of build up our mouse using layers to form it. But simultaneously, what I absolutely love about this painting is basically at any part, you can do a loose watercolor wash and then just take a pen and do a line drawing around the outline, and you have this like really lovely, adorable illustration. Okay. So this is kind of dipping our toes into that more illustrative style. And it's so dang cute.
It is so cute.
It's so cute. Look at his little eyes.
Let me zoom in on him.
Okay. Look at his paws. I mean, look at him. And every time I was painting him, every step I'm like, he's so cute.
Yeah. No, we filmed this and I loved editing it. I liked watching it again.
I love him. And what we can do here is you can see that with this kind of style or approach of maybe a loose background where we kind of do a loose florals or hints of florals, and then maybe a more developed main subject, you can take this idea and do like a whole series doing like ducks and bunnies and baby animals. Like I just think of nursery. I think of like little cards for your babies or your grandkids. Like I just think it's so cute. I'm in love with it. It's so much fun. Okay.
I really feel like a turtle would fit this.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
a really cute illustrated turtle and a mouse.
A turtle.
Just like peace creatures.
Oh, yes. And you guys, like this community is so creative that I know like somebody is going to be putting little accessories on this mouse and it's going to be like the cutest darn thing I've ever seen, and I can't wait. Okay.
Next.
So with April showers bring May flowers, right? And I thought, you know what? I want to have my cake and eat it too. I want to have raindrops and I want to have flowers. So, drum roll, please. Pink magnolia.
Oh, magnolia. So good.
This project, I love it because it's that loose background. I'm going to show you how you can give hints of other things. Like this is Magnolia's Far Away. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then it's going to blow your mind how easy it is to do water drops on this flower. I'm not even kidding you. It takes like 2 brush strokes It's insane. And from then on, you're going to want to do little dewy raindrops on everything and anything because it just like adds so much to it, so much to the atmosphere and the feel where you could just be like, oh my gosh, I can totally like feel it. You know, when you go out in the spring morning and it just rained and there's like moisture everywhere, but those blossoms are still budding on that tree and you can hear the birds singing and you're like, yes, it's finally spring. That's what this painting is to me, and I cannot wait.
I've watched Sarah paint 1,000 hours. The water drops on this really surprised me.
Yeah.
If they look so complicated, they're good.
They're
easy.
so not. They're
Yeah.
so not, and I'm super excited to show you how to do it. Okay.
Okay. Number 3.
Last project.
Okay.
As I was thinking about spring and flowers, I was thinking about this Instagram account that I follow called Floret Farms, and she grows seeds. And she has this white farm truck that she fills to the brim with like dahlias, and it's so gorgeous.
Can you imagine?
It is a dream. It is such a dream. Like, could you imagine having a flower farm? Oh, being surrounded by that, it just like fills me up. So I was thinking about that and I was thinking, what a fun project to paint a, drum roll please, flower farm truck.
Oh, so good.
So good. Now, if you've been with Let's Make Art for a long time, since 2019, we did do the back of a vintage truck, but that one I would say was a bit more illustrative. We didn't have any background. It was by itself. We had a regular truck bed, and I just thought like, I want to take these projects that we did years ago, and you guys some of you have been painting with me a long time, and you're probably ready for that next step. And I just thought like, it would be so great to take some of these ideas that I've done before and elevate it, show you how you can take previous projects that we've painted, and by adding backgrounds and adjusting the details and putting in a little bit more depth and form, all of a sudden a beginner-friendly project is now more an experienced beginner or an intermediate project, okay? And it's also like once you have a basic outline or an idea, you can basically scale that project up or down to your skill level. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? So I don't want you to feel stuck. There's so much out there, so much inspiration for you guys to use that I wanted to show you that you can take something and adjust it to what works for you, okay?
Okay. I'm excited.
Me too. I'm super excited. I love, 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 love this month. I just feel like we've done a lot of like dark and moody, and I'm just like ready for the flowers. I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for green. And I hope that with this box, you can kind of feel that excitement for the newness of the season and paint with me. So I'm super excited. Just basic overview, this will be available starting April 1st. It will be available as a bundle altogether throughout the entire month of April. Once we move into May, these projects are going in the vault, and you will not see them until we open up the archive. Okay?
We promise it's not a joke. It really will be there April 1st.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We don't mess around with April Fool's Day. Well, we might.
Well,
but
we might.
this is not a joke.
Well, we do actually.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. There's no joke. This will be available April 1st. Okay. No joke on that.
Similar color palette to previous months?
Same, no new colors.
Okay, excellent.
No new colors, no new brushes. So if you guys have been painting the previous months, you're good to go.
Excellent.
You're good to go there. I think that's all I gotta say.
Okay.
Okay. Quick overview. You have until the end of the month to get the March projects. Starting April 1st, these will be available. We're on track for our National Parks pre-order. Those are going to start shipping in June. We'll keep you guys updated regularly through emails, and also during these lives, I'll just give you a quick update. And if you want to participate in painting these daffodils for Emma, I hope you do. If you don't have the address, you can email us at hello@letsmakeart.com. If you have a recipient in mind, you can go to our website to nominate someone that we can paint postcards to. It's one of my favorite things that we do here at Let's Make Art. And the reason why it makes a difference is because you guys take the time to actually do it. And so thank you for doing that. It really means so much. I'm super excited to paint April and to get into spring with you guys. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.